It's not every day you get to peek behind the curtain of the automotive parts aftermarket. Lucky for us, we were invited by our friends at Bilstein Suspension to take a behind-the-scenes look at their original facility to learn more about the manufacturing process and bring our cameras along with us for a very special opportunity to share it with you all.
Hi Ben.
Fabian, how are you, man?
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for the invite back to Germany. Where are we and what are we doing?
We are here in Ennepetal. It's very special production because we have many of our performance products here, and we like to show you everything.
Yeah,
from
so let's
start to finish.
let's go see kind of all of it. I want to see the full spectrum of what it takes from the idea to ending up on a shelf in FCP Euro.
Let's have a look.
Yep. Although this is Bilstein's first real manufacturing plant, it still houses a full production line of around 180 employees, all working in this building that's been operating since 1873. The Bilstein team spoke to the history and the ever-changing layout this long, narrow building has gone through.
Worldwide, all B6, all B16, all Evos come from here.
Oh, all of them, not even
Only
some.
from
Yeah.
here,
Okay.
It's Ennepetal.
This is this plant for those products.
This 10 is the lowest one, and the highest volume we have is 800.
Okay.
So our average is about 87 or something.
After our introductory meeting to the facility, we then headed over to where the process actually begins, which is the inbound and raw material sorting.
The material we have in the inbound area, we have about 2 days of operating work or a work in progress.
So everything we can see here is just, these are all production orders, and our real warehouse is not here in the plant, it's outside. So
It's a big logistic part.
big logistic partner, and he's responsible for our warehouse where all the pre-material is set up. We have 5 shuttles a day. So from the morning at 6 a.m., 7 p.m., first one, the last one at 6 p.m., and 5 in total. And they are always delivering the production orders for the day and also the Kanban materials.
I'm assuming the deliveries, the reason it's 5 times a day is just to keep the loads smaller back and forth.
I mean, the place is so limited here that's all we have for our finished goods. So
that's amazing.
If you produce just one day, you can just imagine this is the entire area here would be full of finished goods.
So does production actually start, like does it go sequentially from this end to that end? Like really it starts here and ends there?
So the flow is interrupted sometimes, but the idea is here's the start and there's the end. So this is the pre-assembly. Then we have the main assembly in the middle of the plant, and then the final assembly. So the flow is from here to there. Here you see some tubes, for example. It's made from Kanban material. So we receive some tubes without this pin, for example, and then we go on our plasma welding machine at first step and weld this pin onto the tube.
Okay, so this is coming,
So
like that raw material is without this, it's just a tube.
So it's the inner tube for the outer tube. So the welding of both parts is in the final assembly line.
Okay.
Then. So here you see the raw material, for example.
So that's what was in the truck.
Only the tube, and here you see the raw material of the pins.
Okay.
And in the first step of all, so you see it's not flat. So we make it first flat and get some first impressions of the product it would be then. After welding, the parts go in here. After they are cooling down, we have an helium leakage tester. So you see now the raw material is tested, and normally you have a green light for a good part, a red light for a bad part, and the red part is sucked into the machine, so you couldn't use it anymore.
Oh wow, just disappears.
So 2 tubes, 2 lengths, 2 diameters, and then you have 1,500 different parts. Then. So this is
that machine's very versatile.
And in 1 minute, this is the cycle time of this part. We have built up the inner tube for our dampers.
Wow.
Yeah.
This facility being the smaller, more nuanced production run means one individual is actually responsible for an entire section of the process, working multiple machines in a sequence within one portion of it.
So here, for example, we built up our earthquake dampers. Also, like on every machine, we have this loading system and the unloading system on the another side. But here you have many of these revolvers. So we are able to make the turning and also the grinding part. And yeah,
This cut down the original length first, and then
it's to change over. Then the inner tube is turned now. The material goes from here to here. Here's the grinding area. And after grinding, we get the welding in this machine. So one employee is going in cycle. Also one piece flow then, yeah.
An interesting point discussed was that the employees working on the machines are not only hands-on with what they were doing, but they're also responsible for the programming setup and automation of those machines themselves, making each individual a giant contributor to the overall operation.
So here we make our rear dampers, normal dampers from normal steel tubes. The same like in the line before, but not so complex. So normally we make the inner tube concha, and then the material is going by the ramp on the sides on the machine, and normally it's a monotube damper.
Yeah.
They're running here down and then going into the grinding machine, there you see. And after grinding we make the signature. Oh. And after the signature we go into the robot welder. Yeah.
With this being one of Bilstein's original plants, it has an interesting mix of new modern automation, robotics, and machinery, while not shying fully away from its more humble, hands-on roots, evident throughout parts of the production line.
So there you see the welding eye. This is the connection to the car then, yeah?
This industrial-sized parts washer ensures between production stages the parts are cleaned and QA'd before ever making it into the next phase.
So every part is washed minimum one time, normally 2 or 3 times in the whole process. Depends on how many guys are touching the part. So now the system is floating, and after the washing process there's a drying process.
Okay.
Then from the pre-assembly line of our dampers and monotubes we go into the outer tube line or our struts line. Here's more the complex part, so you have also this U-form or this one-piece flow. So the guy is here and working from this station to this station, and then the parts, when they are ready, go in this box. From this box they go to the washing area and then to the painting line.
Do you know an example of like a specific product that is hand welded?
Yeah.
Like for a special certain car?
Porsche 911 RS GT, for example, our high performance cars are hand welded because, let's say, a robot from his technique is so they have no sensor to see where the welding line is.
Yeah.
An employee could, from my opinion, hand welded is more, not more quality is the wrong word, but it's more handmade, and for our 911s, for example, we do it by hand.
That's awesome.
Because it's also a unique selling point.
Right. Yeah, handcrafted,
so it's handcrafted in Germany.
Yeah.
The batches are from 10 to 60 in the hand welding line, and output per day is 120.
Okay.
So not a lot, but our high performance product.
Right.
So,
That's cool. That's unique.
Yeah, that's really unique in the organization. Yeah.
Now, on the opposite end of the welding spectrum, we headed over to see the robotic automated welding station for some of the larger batch runs of products.
So here we have 2 welding robots. You have here this side, let's say A side and the B side. On the A side we make the welding spots. On the B side we make the whole welding.
Okay.
So this is running. You have one robot in there, and when the robot is working on the B side, they couldn't work on the A side, for example. So we decided to get a new system. This is this one here. This real robot for the whole welding. He is really fast. And we have this cobot is collaborating with the employees. So the programming is like this. You take this and have these buttons, and you could go to the position you want to have, and then you make the welding spots.
Okay.
So here the spots, and after here you go in this machine and weld.
Okay.
Yeah. Here the cycle time is about 1.5 minutes. There we have 3 minutes, for example. Because the arm is...
So that assembles it with spot welds, and then that finishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting not to see spot like the marks. It's just,
So here you see is beneath is the beginning, and then the machine is turning the part like this, and you have this welder there, and then it's going.
wow.
And here's then the end. Yeah.
We were pretty excited about this next section of production, as it was the very same production line our B16 Damptronic set that we had just installed on our F30-328 SI project back at FCP Euro came from. We chose this damper specifically from Bilstein, knowing it was one of the only on the market utilizing the BMW Damptronic system in a coilover application.
So this is a milling machine. Here we make our Damptronics and Evo lines and high performance parts. So F30 BMW.
Oh,
Yeah. So
Nice.
Damptronic B4, for example. So
oh. So this might actually be what we put on the F30, which is kind of cool. So
in this case, you see it's from our forming press. It was 1 diameter, so it is lengthened up, and here reduced material. And this is the hole we cut on this machine.
okay.
So here gets the magnet valve for the electric. They make the milling of the parts. We didn't drill it, we mill it.
Okay.
It's a rhyme.
And then he was just checking by
Yeah,
hand
yeah,
to see
yes.
if there was.
If here's no chips, for example, on the inner side also, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And after that, if there is a bottom piece in it, for example, they drill the bottom piece.
Okay.
So M10 or M12, what is needed. Yeah.
Next, they set up the R&D test sequence for the B16 Damptronic damper to show us the various stages that it goes through during fluid and gas fill procedures.
The machine for the O-rings, here is set it up. Here we check our outer tube if we have some leakage, yeah, because we have the welding of the magnet valve
Yeah.
that is exhausting. So here is the check for it.
This part we have a new bottom valve where we have a hole inside. So we have some new parts which has to be inserted in this machine, and also we are doing a leakage test on this. So that's the first step.
It's a big press, basically.
So the machine is putting 6 bar inside the tube and is then measuring how much pressure it needs to stay on 6 bar.
Okay.
You see now it's evacuating the gas, yeah?
And we need 1.2 Pascal per second to stay at 6 bar.
Oh, so it tells you an actual result of.
And the green light. So you know, in every
good.
box is green or red.
Yeah.
Now it's green.
And the target is below 10, so 1 is perfect.
Nice.
Now we can insert the inner tube in the outer tube. Just put it inside and bring it to the oil filling machine. Really simple. Just put it below the valve. Start the oil filling. So now we have the oil inside. And we can now put the piston rod inside the inner tube.
Does it run the same test, or is it?
Yeah, there are different speeds like on our normal VDAs, because in the electronic we have more settings. And after we know that the setting is good, we close it on the line there. So this is the only part we couldn't open anymore. So it's closed by drilling the material.
Oh, it's not like a circlip. It's actually
it's no
closed.
spring. It's closed forever. Yeah. So you see the green light. It's good, and then could be closed. So normally this line running with 4.5 minutes per piece. It's a normal time, but in cases like that, the first time it takes a lot of time. But I'm happy that we could look at this. Sounds good, yeah. There's a lot of power in, yeah. So here is this seal pack, yeah. This rubber sealing here, and the material.
It folds over it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the press has the material goes in, and then you have one line.
How does it do that? Does it come around the top and then sets it in?
There's an we could show you a cylinder is coming from the upper side, goes here, and then running here, and the material is going in the
Folds
inside.
over.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So this is the device,
Yep.
and it's turning on the damper. And over this radius, slowly
Folding it inward. Okay. Interesting. Cool. That's neat.
You see, every part we make,
Then check it.
every part is checked 100%.
Yeah.
So
Now, for those of us from the Northeast United States, corrosion in cars are just simply a part of life. Bilstein does take an additional step to try to mitigate some of this with an anti-corrosion coating, as explained here.
every inner tube we make receives a special coating for anti-corrosion. Yeah, 4 different mediums in it. This is a black coating against corrosion. So here you see this was the cleaning, and now it's going into the oil. There's some special oil then at the last step.
And we had to ask, with all these dampers needing to be made, what sorts of shifts are being run at the factory, and how often are people having to work?
5 days per week in free shift, and 2 shifts on Saturdays, and sometimes we're working on Sundays. Depends on how the
Backlog.
the backlog is, the sales volume is, and
Wow,
how it's going on.
that's impressive. The next room we were guided into is where I truly think the magic happens, and that is the shimming process, where thin washer-like pieces of metal are organized and stacked to the Bilstein-tuned perfection.
Here you see the piston rod assembly. In Mandan is a big robot, for example. Yeah. So our robot is Tanya. So she's the pacemaker in this corner here. So here we build up our piston rods and make the whole valve stacking thing we need. Okay. And you see this thing on the table with the pins. These are every shims do you need to assemble the whole piston rod in the final then.
So each one has like a recipe, and she'll have a stack.
So we have the recipe is in the system on the screen, for example. But for usage, the employees are printing them. They could look better on this white paper then. Yeah. And then they go from the left side to the right side. And when the piston rod is assembled here, they go into the screwing station or the torque station and get some security screw on it.
I think people take it for granted how much goes into getting their car to feel the way that it does.
Yeah. You have a high level of complexity, especially when you see what we're producing here.
Yeah.
The rest of it, you can imagine what it is, you can see it, feel it. But what happens here, inside here, you have no clue.
But it's actually what makes the whole thing, what it is. Yeah. So, underappreciated.
Absolutely, it is.
Now we have an entire other video that goes deep into all things shims on the channel, so be sure to go check that out. Once the shim stacks were done, we could see the installation and testing of the entire piston assembly by itself. Admittedly, this was the point of the tour we were most excited about, and that was to see the yellow paint process that Bilstein has been known for all these years. Here we saw the satisfying conveyance of visually bland raw material assemblies turn into Bilstein art that truly brought the dampers to life.
There's an oven with 7 different segments. So there's cleaning, there's heating, drying, and also washing. Because we have the filling process with oil, so we wash the oil then from here. There you see the robot who's painting, is painting, yeah. So they go up and down, and the parts are running through the machine, lightly turning, 360 degrees, and the robot is going up and down and make the paint. When there are more complex parts with spring seat, for example, we have a hand painting line after it.
So they'll finish.
So, yeah, they make the finish then.
After painting, it was time for final assembly, where we learned about the quick process at the station in which everything we had just witnessed separately then comes together, packaged, and ready to ship to us.
So, like everything, we go from the left to the right. So you see, they're starting with the outer tube. Here you could see we are making the bearings in this press. After the bearings, the part goes into this machine here, and we make the wedding with the inner and the outer tube. So you see the outer tube, it's zinc phosphated with the bearing. So we have a position, and we make the program mapping for the position. And then here we have Loctite for secure the screws and these things. And everything is connected to the system here. If you don't have the right torque, the machine is not opening the closing. So everything 100% check in the station also. So we have a height check. We have lasers for making the Bilstein band here, for example, that it's
great. It's in the right spot. Yeah.
This one, so in right position. So now he's checking the length and the position of the label. Yeah. Label printer, yeah, from the label, yeah. This is for
so the rubber boot doesn't get
that you have no problems with the quality then. Then the spring, and then up in the box.
Thanks again to Bilstein Suspension for giving us this opportunity and this in-depth tour. We're happy that we got to bring you along with us, and we hope you enjoy this episode of FCP Euro Abroad. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.